I've seen a number of players, they start off pretty slowly in a national team and then suddenly they just burst on it. Grant Williams at the Springboks, he was always like a fringe player. And then suddenly, after the 2023 World Cup, he's just become the number one scrum half.
This team at the moment is laying down a statement which says, we are the best in the world and this is the standard we're at. Do you see where that ceiling is for this team?
We've already seen a couple, Bongi and Banambi, Faf de Klerk, those guys have fallen by the wayside already. I don't see them making it back into the team.
DSPN is brought to you by Novus Glass, proud partner of the Special Olympics New Zealand. The Special Olympics New Zealand National Summer Games is in Christchurch, Otautahi, this December. Across New Zealand, Aotearoa, athletes, clubs, volunteers and families are getting ready, training, supporting each other and celebrating as the flame of hope travels down the country. Text Novus to 3598 to support our athletes. That's Novus, Novus, to 3598 to support our incredible athletes at the Special Olympics in Christchurch, Otautahi this December. Notice it, Novus it.
Welcome to the DSPN.
Team New Zealand's in trouble.
Goal! He's done it again, Ricky Herbert.
The Devlin Sports Podcast Network.
Martin Devlin, Lachlan Ward, DSPN, thank you so much for joining us again. Thank you also for the comments and the likes and all the views over the last couple of days. We have a brand new subscription model out. Don't panic though, what you already enjoy on the DSPN YouTube channel, Spotify video, Rover, Apple Podcast, that'll stay the same. The output will not diminish one bit. We're just adding on extra vision, extra opinions, extra guests, extra interviews, answering your questions in a very personal way. If you want to help us out, this is what this is about, changing sheds. It's a couple of bucks a week. If you like what you're looking at, what you're listening to, and you can afford $2 a week, $8 a month, well then hit that join button next to the subscribe button on the YouTube channel and you will keep us in business. In the meantime, hit subscribe. We're well over 18,000 subscribers, trying to get to 20,000 by Christmas on the YouTube channel. Enjoy. Keep leaving us comments. Mailbag coming on Friday. But if you want to help us out financially, keep us in business, yes, changing sheds is the thing for you then. $2 a week. Just hit that join and follow your nose. Time to tell one of our favourite South Africans that they are the best team in the world. DSPN, it's a warm welcome back to Brenden Nel from South Africa. Brenden, who worked for SuperSport for so long. He's got his own YouTube channel at Brenden Nel, Brenden, and that's Nel, Nel, one word. He's got almost 30,000 subscribers. He's a great old mate. And one of the things that we have tried to get each other to do over the decades, my man, is it's childish and it's stupid, but it's what sports fans do. It's to look down the barrel, to say it loud and proud, that your lot, your team, so much better than ours. And it irks, it hurts, it sticks in the craw. I got to say that I'm still in awe after what I saw, especially in the second half, Springboks versus France. That match, that venue, that opponent, everything that carried alongside it, that was just an awe-inspiring performance. And I think the best 40 minutes of rugby that I've seen this year. There you go.
Thanks, Marty. I've been waiting for this for quite a while, I must admit. I have been waiting for it. It's taken a long time, but I do appreciate it, man. And I think, yes, I mean, look, wheels turn and things probably in the future might change again. Let's hope it doesn't from our side. But yeah, it's certainly the All Black rivalry will still be there. Next year we got a great tour to look forward to. But yeah, looking at Saturday, I mean, it was, I must admit, we're sitting there debating, just that red card to Luther Jager. Did Angus Gardner get talked into the red card? Was it really a red card? Was it? Yeah, there's so many of those. And then the next thing, in that first part of the second half, the French just almost got seduced by that red card and they sort of tried to run us off our feet. And it's just a testament to just where this Boks team is at the moment and just how good they are at this moment, because they literally just soaked up the pressure. And when that tide turned and when Andre Estesen came on and one or two other players came on in the pack, and you just saw that momentum shift, and it was so clear. And yeah, I had to remind myself afterwards, this is a 19-3 second half scoreline with 14 men against the Six Nations champions. With 15 men, nobody beats France like that in France normally. It's unheard of. So this was spectacular. But and the strange thing about it is, it's not the first time we've seen the Boks do that this year. They did it in Wellington. They did it against Argentina in Durban. And yeah, even I mean, I saw Sasha Feinberg Magomazulu got the man of the match, but to me, Malcolm Marx was the man of the match by country mile.
I absolutely.
Yeah, but just the confidence they play with, that they just we did a thing with Nick Mallet earlier this week where he also just said, the wonderful thing about guys like Sasha and Marnie Libok and those sort of guys is that they make a mistake, they do something wrong, and they come back and they want to just do it again because they're just so eager to get the next ball, to get the next move, where the heads don't drop, etc. And that's amazing. And I must admit, I really enjoyed Saturday night. It was a very late night for us because it ended after midnight. But it was what a night of rugby, and especially given the fact that there was this whole revenge talk the whole week. I know people said Luku was mistranslated. The stories of they stole the World Cup from us. It was supposed to be France's World Cup, which is ironic for us because we feel they stole the tournament from us, which was supposed to be in South Africa in 2023. But a couple of French officials, Bernard Lapper, said they all got arrested afterwards for that, for the corruption there. So to me, it was such, no, I wouldn't say poetic justice, but it was just so good to see the Springbok team just soak up that pressure and that cauldron of where they were being booed. Apparently, I mean, we didn't really see the build-up, but I was told by journalists the other day that every single Springbok name was booed by that whole stadium, and Rassie Erasmus's name was carried the loudest boo. So it was just to see that and to come out on top like they did and silence that crowd. What a night. Really, what a night.
Well, they're probably still bitter and twisted, to be fair, of the, this is also the 30th year anniversary of when they scored a legitimate try in the semi-final in 1995. That was Bob Deans against Wales for the All Blacks. All of a sudden, that wasn't a try. Look, there's so much to unpack there. In terms of, the French crowd and how they behave and how they react. Hey, they're French, and they just do what they do, don't they? The great thing with watching the South African team, and this is just an outsider, looking in, is just the sheer confidence that team has and the belligerence of that confidence, if you know what I mean. That it's just a refusal to lose and to let anything upset them to the point that it will throw them off the game. Malcolm Marx, you mentioned, I switched off with 5 minutes to go because I was I'm not watching this. I can't watch this anymore. I can't watch you dominate like this. So I don't know whether he did the whole game, but I think he was on at 75 minutes or something, which was just extraordinary. And he seemed to get stronger throughout the game. So that's one thing. Let's tackle that red card to start with, because I maintain and I still believe that it was a red card, given the fact that he had no arms and it was a shoulder to the head. Now, we can always argue about whether it should be a red card, but according to the laws and the way the laws are interpreted, as soon as I saw that and they replayed, I thought, he's gone. He's gone. It wasn't like a yellow being upgraded to a red. But then again, you look at it from your side of the fence, and I suppose you'll argue differently on that. So let's start at that point.
Well, not really. I think I would more argue the process that was followed. I sat there and my first reaction was, oh, he's in trouble. This is bad. Because just when I saw the arm was tucked in like that and we had hit the French player on the neck, and I just felt, Ramos, I just felt that, geez, I've seen less of the card stuff, incidents like that being given red cards. Where I thought it was, I thought I would have been very happy, and I think a lot of South Africans probably would have been very happy with saying, send it to the bunker, and if it's upgraded to a red, a 20-minute red, fair enough. To me, the permanent red, I've always been told, and I sort of believe this is what World Rugby wants, is the permanent red is really for the act of foul play. It's the swinging arm, or it's the punch, that's just totally away from it. Or that I felt there was mitigating circumstances. Although I mean, the refs tell me as well, and have told me in the last 24 hours. If an act's illegal to begin with, there is no mitigation. And I suppose so, but I mean, you look at Dirty Yaga, he's what, I don't know, 6'11", 7 foot, whatever, he's huge. And the players, Ramos is dropping and he's bent. I mean, Ramos had his knee on the ground. He was on the floor. So I don't know really what a player could do. And that's just my worry is when the first thing we had Angus Gardner talking to his assistants, and wanting to go with a yellow bunker review. And then they talked him into a permanent red. That's the way I saw it, at least. And then
I can't understand
and then second of all, the whole thing is, I mean, and the same with Tad Byrne a week ago. And there's so many of these incidents in rugby. We're asking players to make a split decision in a split second, and often they don't control the outcomes. And sometimes you just feel when you watch rugby does itself no favors. There's got to be some sort of common sense. We don't want players injured. We don't want players being carried off the field. And I think Sia Khaleesi put it quite bluntly there. He said straight after, he said, "Well, why isn't Ramos going off for an HIA if it was such a bad incident?"
Yeah,
and that doesn't compute to me. So I think it would have been a red if it was sent to the bunker anyway. But the difference between a permanent red and a 20-minute red, I'm glad it didn't spoil the spectacle. But I think there's still work that rugby needs to do there, because I don't think any fan really sits there afterwards and says, "Well, that's the right outcomes. We want a permanent red. We want teams to play with 14 for the rest of this." So I mean, the World Cup of Sam Cane. I mean, that was another situation. You don't want to win against. You don't want there to be an excuse when you beat the opposition or when they beat you. You want it to be a fair thing, and these are incidents that happen. They have to put some sort of sanction in. But surely, I mean, a permanent red just felt a bit harsh. I thought it would have been a 20-minute red, though, saying that.
No, you've convinced me, actually, and I think that's a fair argument, and I agree, because I've always maintained the same stance on this, and that the red card has to be for foul play. It's got to be for something that, like a kick or something really ugly, or as you say, a punch, or it's got to be for 2 yellow cards where you just persistently are infringing to the point where the referee is exasperated and goes, "Look, you keep doing it. If it's penalty number 9 on you, get off and out of there." I understand those two. And, when you're talking about Sam Cane, let's not forget that the Black Ferns won a World Cup final here at Eden Park in 2022 it was, and England had a red card, a straight red in that game as well. So, that 14 versus 15 thing, as soon as as a fan, you're watching a game, my heart sinks straight away. I think, I was looking forward to a contest. Is it going to be a contest? Which is why it was so impressive, that second half comeback. And I think you were right. I mean, I felt at halftime, I thought, the French have got this now. All they've got to do is basically just play their pattern, play their systems. They've got a man overboard. Eventually, they'll gas South Africa. And I wonder whether they did go into that changing room at halftime thinking that, because they were off their game in that second half, and you never let them back into the game once you got a sniff. And as soon as the attempted intercept, which is what Satiti got a yellow card for, and it was 14 on 14, the tide had completely turned at that stage. Do you rate that as better than the second half performance in Wellington? And if so, why do you rate it as that, as a better second?
It's a good question, because I've never really thought about it that way, because to me, I mean, look, they're both exceptional performances. I think, to me, the Wellington performance probably still holds a bit more weight for me, just because it was New Zealand in New Zealand. We've beaten France before in France, never as impressively as this. Well, I should say the last time it was so impressive, it was probably 97, the one-sided, the 50-pointer that they put on the French there, and the Nick Mallett's team. But it was impressive because it was 14 men. It was impressive because you just expected the French just to dominate in that second, and they started to dominate. The Springboks scrambled extremely well in that second half, but I really thought there was a couple of moments. You sort of gasp, because you think, geez, if that pass had just gone one meter further, or somebody hadn't knocked, or somebody hadn't gone the way, then it would be. I think if the French scored in those first 20 minutes, it probably would have been a different result. But that was extremely impressive from that point of view. But I still think Wellington is, to me, the more impressive one, because also the lead up there, it was a changed team. It was a week after Eden Park. You had all the youngsters, and I mean, the show that those youngsters put on that day was just something amazing. And again, didn't expect the All Blacks, their heads to drop like they did that day. This was extremely impressive as well, but I think the French messed this up probably more than the All Blacks did in there. I think Wellington, the Springboks, just were totally dominant in that game.
Brenden, what's the ceiling for this team now? And I know that there's so much talk and chatter, which becomes its own narrative, and I'm not sure I buy into it about, everything's about the World Cup and everything's about building up to the World Cup. I still believe that to the players, these games absolutely matter. The tour next year matters. It matters much. The Lions tour to Australia matters. And, when you look at World Cup years, bizarre things happen at World Cups. It's a long-winded question. Just hold with me for a second here. But bizarre things happen. You've won 2 World Cups back where you've lost games during that tournament, and then you've come back and won. Last time we saw the 2 quarterfinals should have been the 2 semi-finals between us and Ireland and South Africa and France, yet the vagaries of the draw and those losses meant. And so when you go into that tournament, you can't properly pre-plan everything that's going to happen in that tournament. You'll get injuries at the wrong time. You'll lose a key player. Plus, the odd weird result happens and all of a sudden, we were meant to play them in the quarterfinals. It doesn't actually work out like that. My point being that I think the World Cups take care of themselves. You look at the World Cup at the start of that year and go, okay, who's available? Who's still available? Who are we going to play? We've got to coordinate and get our team together so that we can win back to back to back to back. It's going to be now 4 games in successive weekends. So I just want to park all of that because it's 2 years in the future. We've got a lot of rugby ahead of us right now, which is why I believe these games are really important and they are statement kind of games. And this team at the moment is laying down a statement which says, we are the best in the world and this is the standard we're at. Can you catch us? But my long-winded question is, can you get better? Do you see where that ceiling is for this team?
I think they probably could get better. How the rest of the world's going to react is going to be, I think, the key thing, because I think we see at the moment the All Blacks can definitely get better. I think England are building quite nicely. They won 8 or 9 in a row. Of course, the English probably declare themselves world champions, and I see they're already saying, I really read a piece in the Times of London this morning about how they're going to beat the All Blacks this weekend. So but they also have a very good World Cup team, the English as well. But just back to the Springboks, I just think we haven't seen the best of Sasha Feinberg-Mngomezulu yet. We haven't seen the best of Kane Moody, Ethan Hooker, those type of players. There's a couple of youngsters that are coming through as well. They've still got quite a few years on them as well. So there's certainly the amount of talent. The under 20 team won the Junior World Championship quite dominantly as well, and so there's certainly a lot of talent coming through. The key is to get that talent, obviously, up to that level that you can win a World Cup. Do those 7 weeks just right, like they did in 2019 and 2023. I think what the good thing that Russie's doing at the moment is by chopping changes every week. Nobody's sure of their place. I mean, we've got a Andre Pollard who's at 31, probably in the prime of his career, and can't get a game. We've got Sia Kolisi in his 100th game being yanked off the field, in the 30-something minute. I mean, I just thought, I said to somebody this weekend as well, can you imagine them doing that to Richie McCaw, his 100th game? New Zealand would probably riot if they did that, But it just shows you the culture in the team. It's so much bigger than the individual. Sorry, he was just after halftime. There was yanked, but I mean, it's you wouldn't take Sia off in any other game, especially not a game like that. He's your iconic figure in that team, and it's just the fact that he was okay with it, the fact that it didn't cause any disruption, and actually probably spurred the team on. Show it makes a huge difference. And Sia was replaced by Andre Estes, and I thought that's where Russie's so much better than a lot of coaches. That sort of tactical change served the Boks so well when they were down to 40. Yes, Estes, and on their own ball, they've got an 8-man scrum, and he's big and powerful. He's over 112, 115 kgs. And so he plays as a flanker on the scrum, and then on defense, he goes and sits in the centers and defends there, and he's quite a physical defender as well. So that almost negates the 14-man situation. So they're tactically extremely good at the moment, and the other thing that Russie does is nobody's comfortable in their place. Everybody wants to play. Everybody knows the team comes first, and it doesn't matter if you get yanked off at 30 minutes. You don't see grumpy faces. Look, I mean, it's a fine line. It can change very quickly, as we all know in modern sport. You just have to have one thing go wrong, and that sort of culture can go very wrong. But at the moment, the Springbok team's culture, the belief in that team, the way they support each other, and the way I think most teams know that nowadays do. If you're not playing, you become the opposition team, and you have to be the team you're playing this weekend for the starters. But it's almost as if that culture they enjoy that just as much as they do when they're playing. And I mean, it's great while it's working. I obviously hope it carries on for a long time to come. But certainly there's going to be challenges, and the pack's going to be chasing. I almost felt, just on the French, I almost felt that when they got on top, in that with the 14 men on the Springboks side, it was almost like they had planned for the 2023 Springboks. That could have worked against the 2023 Springboks, where the 2025 Springboks with the Sesha and the Mani Dabok and those type of guys have just got a different or a few extra strings on their bow with a Tony Brown influence on attack and a Jerry Flannery on defense. They just got that something extra, and that the French didn't comprehend in a way.
Are you a better side than you were when you won the World Cup?
It's a good question. I think I'd say yes. I'd say most definitely right now they're a better side than they were. I think the World Cup is often won on guts for a lot of teams. I think there's games, and not just South Africa in 2019 and 2023. In 2019, I think of that Welsh game where they were really struggling. 2023, the quarters.
Oh, that was an awful game. Terrible game.
The quarterfinal, semi-final, final, all won by a point. That's, to me, you win those by guts and by never giving up and never giving in. And I mean, even the All Blacks in 2015, that semi-final, that epic semi-final at Twickenham, where they won by 2 points.
Thrashed them.
Yeah.
Thrashed a bunch.
2 points.
Yeah.
Anyway, but I mean, those type of games you win. I kind of laughed this week, my boy. I'm sure you also saw the clip on social media. Some Scottish blogger saying that, trying to make the point that if Craig Joubert hadn't sort of made that stuff up against Australia, they would have beaten the All Blacks in that final. I'm just thinking, what world was he living in? Nobody was going.
I love people who connect dots like that. That's just like
I read the whole week how they're going to beat the All Blacks, and yes, this All Black team has got vulnerabilities. But I always felt that we got to 17 all, but I felt Scotland could never put the hammer down. And Damien McKenzie, that try was absolutely amazing. I mean, we loved it from over here as well.
Well, so where are we at the moment, do you think? Just quickly on the All Blacks, what we're not doing is we're not monstering teams like you monster teams. And, our forwards, well, they just don't look as big and nasty and as physical as you guys. And we're a team that did come on big time in the last 20 minutes against Ireland, and we wrapped it up in the last 15 against Scotland. So that says a lot about our endurance. It also says a lot about our resilience. It says a lot about character, those kind of things. But where do you think we are at the moment after watching that Ireland and the Scotland game?
I think I go back to what a number of coaches have probably said in the past, and I've been told by one or two Springbok coaches as well, that if you're going to be there, in the top in the world, you need to have 7 or 8 guys who are going to walk into a World 15 quite easily. I think South Africa's got that at the moment. I think the 2011 to 2015 All Blacks probably had 10, 12 guys who could walk into a World 15. At this moment, this All Black team, Ardy would probably quite easily. Will Jordan, maybe Bodie, those guys would walk in quite easily. But and now probably Cam Roygaard and Satiti would be the other two that I think would probably add to that list. But I don't think they're quite there. They need probably 2 or 3 more players like that in their 15 to get to that level. And it's not far off. I mean, we see how they're building. Fabian Holland's been great this season. There's been a bunch of the players who really, you can see, to Martin Williams, you can see he's going to grow into a great tight end as well. There's some real good players over there. But I just think they're probably a year or two out from where they should be. Now, I know a lot of people probably in New Zealand still have their doubts about Scott Robinson. I mean, but he's got to get them there. So that's the things that he has to get 8 to 10 guys in that would walk into a World 15 if New Zealand are going to win a World Cup again. And they're not far off. It's not far off at all. But I think these things also take care of themselves as well. Players tend to. I've seen a number of players. They start off pretty slowly in a national team, and then suddenly they just burst on it. Grant Williams at the Springboks is one of them. He was always like a fringe player, and then suddenly after the 2023 World Cup, he's just become the number 1 scrum half. So there's players like that to come through, and I'm sure New Zealand probably in the next year or two are going to find it. In fact, I think on the next tour, it's going to be you'll see 1 or 2 more of them coming through.
Were France underdone? Like Ireland were underdone?
I always find that funny because don't they always say, I mean, I've never heard a South African or New Zealand or even the Wallaby side saying they were underdone, in a June Test series. I mean, France has got the most well-funded rugby league in the world. They've got probably one of the best rugby programs in the world, and they knew this game was coming. They were talking about the revenge game, so it's quite ironic. The days afterwards are now talking about it's their first game of the season. I mean, those are excuses at the end of the day.
All right. The last couple of years of results, we'll leave it on this. You've lost to Ireland, you lost to Argentina, you've lost to Australia, you've lost to us. That All Black team between 2011 and 2014, lost to England in 2012. We lost to the Boks in 2014. But we look at it as a streak over 2 or 3 years, where there's a time where I think we'd lost one game in about 3 years. So there's always these comparisons between that side and this side. But I think you approach it a bit differently. I don't think that you're so single-minded that you think every single game has to be won. It's just these performances, and I said this yesterday, which has impressed me so much, when you've needed to win. Cape Town against the Aussies, where you had to win that game. Wellington against us, where you had to win that game. If you'd lost both of those games in New Zealand, that would have, upset the apple cart. This game against France, these games you've had to win, and these games have been your best games all year. That's what the All Black standard has always been, isn't it? When we've needed to win games, we've come out emphatic, and that's what I think is so impressive at the moment.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you look at those games you mentioned, I mean, except for maybe Cape Town, but Durban, Wellington, and this game, the second half performances have been exceptional in all three of those games. In fact, I think in all three games they probably went in behind. I might be wrong on one of them, but they weren't comfortably ahead in any of those games. In fact, the only game they were comfortably ahead in was at Ellis Park, and that's what turned out rather wrong.
Yeah, right.
Look, I mean, that sort of consistency that All Black team had was exceptional. They won games that they really shouldn't have. And as a Springbok fan, you often used to think they used to get so close, but that team, there would always be a Nonu or Conrad Smith or somebody would do something and take it away from us. So, you've got to give them the credit for what they achieved. To me, at this moment, this Boks team is still hasn't played that perfect game yet. They still, they played great 40 minutes, amazing 40 minutes. But in that Durban game, Argentina were actually bossing them in the first half. In Wellington, the All Blacks were quite competitive in that first half. I mean, I won't say they were bossing them, but and the French, I mean, when we went down to 40, probably for 60 minutes of the game, 50, 60 minutes, you would probably have put money on France to win. So they find ways of winning, and they've got this, as you said, there's a little bit of belligerence, confidence, that these young players who don't seem to have any fear, and that's great to build on. Where they're going to go from here is going to be great to see, because I think there's just so much more that they can do. So I'm really hoping this continues. I think probably some of these older players are going to fall off. We've already seen a couple, Bongi and Vanambi, Faf de Klerk, those guys have fallen by the wayside already. I don't see them making it back into the team, and I think if a couple more probably do that by the time the World Cup comes as well.
I started by saying it. I'll say it again. Yeah, that was me saying it.
The one wonderful thing about sport is I mean, and I go look at Rossi there in Wellington as well. Yeah, it doesn't help. It's always just fun having the banter, but at the end of the day, we want a strong All Black team. We want a strong France team. You want to be tested, and to me, at the moment, the Boks are the best in the world. I think by quite some distance. And I saw your other pod where you said the All Blacks would probably finish on the same wins as the Springboks this year. But I think no fan, no probably respectable rugby fan in the world would think that there isn't a bit of a gulf between the Springboks and the rest at the moment.
Yeah, I think.
But those things can change.
I think that's fair.
We need to enjoy it. We need to understand that we're in a golden generation of Springbok players. I mean, we all remember 2016, 2017, the way the results were there. Mm-hmm. So enjoy them now. I mean, I hope Boks fans don't get overconfident or arrogant. And hopefully it carries on for a while. And hopefully the next World Cup finals, Springboks, All Blacks, both teams at full strength. No red cards. and the best team may win.
Huge thank you to Novus Glass for sponsoring this episode of the DSPN and for being a proud partner of the Special Olympics New Zealand. This December, over 1,200 incredible athletes, along with hundreds of volunteers, coaches and other support staff, will be making their way to Christchurch or Tautahi for the Special Olympics New Zealand 2025 National Summer Games. Novus Glass is proud to be supporting something special, and you can help support the athletes too by texting Novus to 3598. That's Novus, Novus 3598. Thanks again, Novus Glass, for supporting us here on the DSPN. Windscreen, crack or chip, notice it, Novus it.
DSPN.